Hello, I'm Dr. Don Frazier. Victoria, it's your line.
Huh? Oh, hi, and I'm Victoria Picon.
You brought your phone to the set?
Well,
and we'll be discussing internet addiction, one of the newest clinical disorders. Welcome to Historical Trends.
are you showing signs of insomnia,
Yep.
fatigue,
Yep.
tired eyes,
Yep.
weak muscles? Do your
Yep.
friends say they never see you anymore?
Yep.
Do you tend to lose track of time? Have you recently lashed out at anyone interrupting your daily Netflix binge? Do you
Yep.
proclaim that your life is online?
Yep.
Do you constantly reference vines and memes offline? Have you considered
Nope.
wearing adult diapers to maximize your time online? Well,
Yep.
then you may be diagnosed with IAD, Internet Addiction Disorder, and may be recommended to the Internet Addiction Treatment Center in Daxing in Beijing, China.
I always wanted to go to China. Wait, did you say adult diapers?
Yes. According to Dao Ran, an addiction specialist and director of Daxing Center, some teenagers' addiction is so severe that to maximize online game performance, they will wear a diaper.
Ma, more pizza pockets. Sorry, that's from South Park. Now, this sounds pretty serious.
Yes. The patient's situations were so critical that in 2008, China declared internet addiction to be a clinical disorder, saying it's a top health threat to its teenagers, according to the New York Times documentary China's Web Junkies.
Now, what is internet addiction disorder?
According to CRC Health, internet addiction is marked by a progressive loss of control over one's ability to avoid, regulate, or limit a behavior, in this case, time spent on the internet.
Okay, that would explain the adult diapers. But that's in China. Could it really be as bad here in the U.S.?
Well, let's let the numbers do the talking.
Okay.
As stated in the 2017 Digital Future Report from USC Annenberg, 92% of Americans use the internet. 82% of Americans access online services via mobile devices.
Yeah, like your phone.
Yeah. Weekly use averages to about 23.6 hours, and the 14.3 hours spent on the internet at work are slightly less compared to the 17.6 hours spent on the internet at home.
Why, our viewers are probably using the internet to watch this show. Now, with statistics like that, have there been any rehab centers opened here in the U.S.?
Actually, yes. Restart, located in Falls City, Washington, is an internet addiction rehab center that was founded in...
restart button. Yeah, clever name.
Restart my life.
Yeah, restart my life. Okay, sorry.
It was founded in 2009.
All right. Do many people consider IAD, not IED, that's something entirely different, that's explosive, as a serious clinical disorder?
There's still speculation as to the validity of IAD as a clinical disorder. However, the risk of internet addiction is very worrisome in this day and age, in which we use these for all the time. You use it to call your mom to ask what shampoo she wants. You ask it to send you directions to the grocery store, to figure out the weather before you head out. To look up coupons for that expensive shampoo your mom wants. You can even do your homework on it while you're waiting in line, which I doubt anyone ever does that.
Yeah, homework, waiting in line, as if. I can get Netflix on my phone. All right, with so many productive benefits that this machine has, why do so many see internet usage as lazy rather than productive?
To answer that, we must consider the historical and cultural influence behind that. Interestingly enough, there was always an idiot box.
Okay, an idiot box. All right, tell me about that.
Although it seems like the current millennial and Gen X generations are constantly criticized for their reliance on technology,
Snowflakes.
it should be noted that before cell phones, the computer was the devil box, before computers, television was the idiot box, and even before that, transistor radio was considered as a contributor for the downfall of American youth.
The young people these days.
These days.
Okay.
American society specifically seems to have a rough time accepting new forms of technology. We could take the evolution of communication technology back to the first use of smoke signals, but for relevance and simplicity's sake, we'll start at the radio. The year is 1893, when Nikola Tesla created a wireless radio. However, in 1896, Guglielmo Marconi had the patent for the first wireless telegraph, and in 1900, Tesla received patents for his basic radio. Radio was essential during World War I, as ships at sea used it to send and receive messages via Morse code. In post-World War 1920, radios shifted from mainly military use to wide civilian use, opening the doors to more immediate mass communication. In 1923, AT&T released the first radio ad, and after obtaining rights to charge for broadcasting, stations like CBS and NBC were created. During World War II, radio was used to spread updates on the war to the public. However, it didn't just send updates. The government used radio to spread propaganda, encouraging listeners to purchase bonds and to join the military. After World War II, the radio had been used for some entertainment purposes with serial programs, then evolving to include music that was popular at the time.
Okay. So far, so good. No signs of radio addiction.
Maybe not. But we start to see where the motif of young rebellion mixes in with the development of technology, when the Regency TR-1 debuts in stores in 1954, thanks to Texas Instruments. The older radio model, which relied on fragile, energy-sucking vacuum tubes to function, was now replaced by a more durable, long-lasting, and portable radio. This opened opportunities for a rebellious youth culture, characterized by their love of rock and roll.
Rock and roll, it's the devil's music.
No longer did teenagers have to stay and listen to their programs their parents preferred at home. They could now take their evil rock and roll music anywhere, especially away from their parents.
Which their parents probably appreciated. I guess no matter what, teens are always going to rebel against their elders.
I guess so.
But what about the old idiot box?
Ah, yes. The television had what the radio only dared dream of, moving pictures, another sense to capture an audience. On September 7th, 1927, the electronic television was designed by Philo Taylor Farnsworth, and by 1955, the majority of America had a television in their living room. Television had most of the same functions as the radio, except the sensationalism of news and advertisements became more sophisticated.
Of course, now you have visuals instead of having to rely on the theater of the mind. All right, so is this when addiction comes into play?
According to a study in 2006, the average American spent 4.5 hours watching TV every day.
Younger people, right?
Surprisingly enough, it was the older generations who watched more television.
Well, because it was invented during their day, and that was state-of-the-art technology. How else are they going to buy those house shoes and that really nice bling from Home Shopping Network? All right, why would people, especially adults, spend so much time on television?
According to a 2006 study called TV Channels, Self-Control and Happiness, it was found that long periods of television viewing correlate with a greater dissatisfaction in life.
Really? You get depressed and lonely just watching TV all the time?
No, I think it's more of this dissatisfaction causes you to want to sit down and watch TV more. It's just a correlation, not causation.
Ah, okay. That clears that up. So a bunch of grumpy old men watching TV.
It is unclear whether television causes low spirits or is used to cope with low spirits. However, older adults simply have more leisure time to sit down and watch TV.
That makes sense. After hearing some historical context on previous forms of media, what does radio and television have to do with the way we use and perhaps abuse the internet today?
The qualities of radio and television align with many of the functions of the internet. They all spread news instantaneously, are used to rally an audience, and develop a public opinion, and to entertain through stories and music. The radio originally had on-air drama programs, and later entertained audiences with music. Even now, radio talk show hosts discuss different political and social views. There are still radio news stations to keep citizens updated on current events. Television posts occasional public service announcements to educate and influence the public. Think 90s anti-drug PSAs. Television entertains through a multitude of shows and programs, and more importantly, informs us through news shows. In fact, there are many radio and TV show apps on the internet.
Okay, are you familiar with H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds?
No.
All right, that was actually one of those radio dramas you're talking about that kind of rolled during the Halloween season, in which they were reporting fictitious news accounts of an alien invasion in New Jersey.
I remember hearing about that. I just didn't know that was the name of the program.
That was it, man, and it caused mass hysteria anyhow.
First occasion of fake news, right?
Well, fake news and, maybe radio addiction. All right. Sorry, I interrupted.
Through news websites that can be shared and become viral via social media platforms like Twitter and Facebook, we can read many reports and articles instantly after they're posted. Apps like YouTube, Netflix, and Hulu make entertainment available anytime and at any location with strong enough signal. Even the ads that interrupt our YouTube videos can be used to influence us politically.
That doesn't happen. Come on.
Yes, it does.
So what makes the internet more addictive than these previous forms of media?
The beauty and danger of internet access is that so much information is readily accessible at all times. Not only is it readily accessible, but it is easy to consume.
I'm going to look this up to make sure that you're being accurate. This is my alternative brain. Sorry. Go ahead.
I mean, I wouldn't blame you. That thing's probably has more information that I have than I ever will.
Or the Library of Alexandria, as it turns out. All right.
Ooh.
Sorry.
But because our phones, which conveniently have internet access, are so portable, we cannot seem to catch a break from the onslaught of tempting entertainment and sensational information. It's easy to retreat to, and can be used as a security blanket and a way to escape reality. The vast number of online communities make finding your place in the world much easier, and with social media platforms like Instagram, where we see people try to portray a more interesting and perfect version of their life, the false sense of reality appears much more pleasant than the harsh troubles of the offline world. It may not even be the addict's fault that they enjoy the internet, more than what is considered normal, as we can see a trend in technology being designed to attract wider and wider audiences.
The scope of the internet is so wide, as websites vary from topic to topic. It will be interesting to discuss how the internet may be addictive by design, and the functions of the internet now versus its original use. Let's talk about that right after the break.
Don't skip! Don't skip! Don't skip! Hello, my name is Christopher Bartlett. I'm the studio manager with the McWhinney History Education Group, and you may be used to seeing my name in the end credits, or sometimes you'll see me sitting here as a special guest host. But right now, I'm here to talk to you about an amazing new opportunity. We have created a Patreon! To put it simply, if you enjoy the content on this YouTube channel, then you can head on over to Patreon, donate money to us, and become a patron. And through your donations, more content will be made. Basically, it breaks down like this. With $10, you will receive a short thank you video from Dr. Frazier and Dr. Fabrizio. With $25, you will be able to take part in a patron-only poll. With $50, you will get swag. These items include a choice between 2 prints of paintings and signed copies of Dr. Frazier's books, Blood on the Bayou and Thunder Across the Swamp. With $75, you will receive exclusive videos that will not be available anywhere else, not on YouTube and not on SoundCloud. These videos will be just for you, the patrons. With $100, your name will appear in the credits. See that right there? That's where your name can be. Finally, for $500, we will send you a signed collector's edition of Phil Collins' book, The Alamo and Beyond. Yes, it is signed by Phil Collins himself. And remember, for all the higher donations you do, you also get the stuff from the lower ones as well. So it's pretty cool. And when we reach our goal of $5,000, Dr. Frazier and Dr. Fabrizio will give you their own personal ranking of the presidents from worst to best. Coming from the perspective of a historian like Dr. Frazier and a political science expert like Dr. Fabrizio, you really don't want to miss their ranking and why they put them in that order. If you enjoy this content and want to see more, if you believe in our mission of making history accessible to everyone, then head on over to our Patreon and donate as much money as you're willing to give. You'll help us continue what we're doing, and you'll get amazing gifts as our way of saying thank you. Now we return to your regularly scheduled programming.
And we're back. You're still watching Historical Trends, and I'm Don Frazier, and I'm here with Victoria Picon, and we're talking about internet addiction. So we talked about all these technologies, and we talked about addiction, and then we kind of rolled into the internet. What was the original purpose of the internet?
Oddly enough, after Sputnik was launched,
There's Russians everywhere.
the U.S. started to invest more time in research in science and technology. In 1962, J.C.R. Licklider, a scientist from Massachusetts...
Licklider? I wonder how that name came about back in Anglo-Saxon times. Sorry.
I believe his nickname was like Lick.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
I wonder if he had a cow lick.
You're goofy. Okay.
J.C.R. Licklider, a scientist from Massachusetts Institute of Technology and the Department of Defense's Advanced Research Projects Agency, talked about a galactic network where computers could communicate with each other, just in case the Soviet Union destroyed the telephone system. And in the late 1960s, U.S. Department of Defense funded Arpanet, which stands for the Advanced Research Projects Agency Network.
Arpanet. Okay.
Arpanet.
We've heard of them.
Arpanet used packet switching, which is a method of efficient data transmission whereby the initial message is broken into relatively small units or packets that are routed independently and subsequently reassembled. This allowed multiple computers to communicate on a single network. In the 1970s, scientists Robert Kahn and Vinton Cerf developed Transmission Control Protocol and Internet Protocol, or TCP/IP, a communications model that set standards for how data could be transmitted between multiple networks. In 1983, Arpanet adopted TCP/IP. Then, researchers started to develop the network of networks that soon became the modern Internet. In 1990, computer scientist Tim Berners-Lee invented the World Wide Web, a branch of the Internet that enabled the user to search for information by moving from one document to another via websites and hyperlinks.
Okay. So its purpose and function is much different now than from back then. Back then, it was originally intended for researchers to exchange raw data, but now they are using it for entertainment.
To spread news and to buy sell things too.
Okay. So the internet is pretty wide and vast. So do different people become addicted to different things on the internet? I mean, like tinfoil hat people?
I'm not too sure about tinfoil hat people, but Dr. Kimberly Young, a licensed psychologist and an internationally known expert on internet addiction, lists 6 subsets of internet addiction: internet gaming, gambling, infidelity, pornography, and cybersexual activities.
Wow, that paints a pretty grim picture of modern society.
Yeah. As well as information overload, which is like compulsive web surfing, and compulsive buying.
Yeah, I can see that too. So why do people become addicted to the internet? And is it really anybody's fault that they do?
Dr. Young noticed that people addicted to online video games, like Second Life, aimed for wish fulfillment. The internet, like many addictions, is used as a way to escape, and many people prefer their online persona over their own lives, just like we mentioned with the Instagram thing.
Yeah, I'm much thinner online.
Gotta use that Facetune and the Photoshops. I have many friends who find it easier to talk to others online than in person.
Yeah, hide behind the technology. I've seen that.
Yeah. You can just search up introvert problems on YouTube to find a big online community that bonds through their awkwardness. Personally, I find myself going on YouTube all the time to look up funny videos after a long day or listen to people talk about their own problems. Sometimes it's just a way you don't feel alone, you know?
Sure.
The internet, although filled with many differing opinions, tends to be a safe space for a lot of people, especially the socially shy and awkward.
Okay.
But when that safety blanket becomes destructive and distracts the user from their responsibilities and their troubles, it's hard to pin the blame on the user, especially when considering what makes the internet so addictive.
How is the internet designed to be addictive? I think that's what you're implying.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, it all seems to fall under the unpredictability of the internet. For example, when you post something on Instagram, you may not receive a few comments, but you don't know that. So whenever you receive maybe your mom says, "Oh, you look nice," or a friend says, "You look very handsome," you're not expecting that, and so the reward is much greater because of like the dopamine levels. But if let's say in an alternate universe, for sure you're gonna get like 3 likes on an Instagram post. After a while, it's boring. And so
just 3 likes?
Just 3 likes.
I want 300.
Okay, let's say 300 likes every time on a post.
Yeah.
You get bored and it's no longer, there isn't that novelty of it anymore. There isn't that guessing thing. Just kind of like with gambling. You don't know when you're going to win or when you lose, but when you do win, it's great and the dopamine levels are very, very high.
You used to have to play golf to get there. The dopamine levels. I mean, you'd hit a really good, drive and it might get to the green and then the dopamine would kick in. But now you can do it online.
Yeah, you can do it.
You know, I'm one of the best Japanese destroyer captains that ever lived.
Japanese
online.
destroyer captains?
Yeah.
Oh.
Just saying.
I don't really play that many online video games that's like free to roam or anything like that. Like Fortnite. What's that? Flossing. What's that? But I do find myself on YouTube a lot because there's also like that. I think part of the reason why YouTube for me specifically is very addictive, would I say addictive or be able to, I don't know. Words,
Addictive?
Words, does the internet affect how I speak? I don't know, possibly. I mean, I reference Vines a lot, like a lot.
Nice.
But again, that like the Vine thing is an online community. Like we connect with this odd humor and stuff like that. Like I could walk into a room and go, Patricia, and people would understand what I mean because
it's bye Felicia.
Bye Felicia. Bye Felicia.
Yeah.
Like
it makes absolutely no sense.
It makes no sense to like outsiders, but it's this other communication. But sorry, going back to the YouTube thing.
Yeah.
There's that autoplay feature. So you get to watch another video and another video and another video. And with ads, like you can't just like switch to another thing on TV like when an ad shows up.
Sure.
And so like, well, on TV you can switch to another thing when an ad shows up. But when an ad shows up on YouTube, it's like it's skippable. So you just have to watch it for 5 seconds and then skip.
Yeah.
Back onto my thing, back onto like makeup tutorials or something like that.
Tutorials. Yeah, it's amazing. You can find anything on YouTube. That's pretty remarkable.
It's very hard. Like, I probably sound like such a millennial or Gen X person right now.
Snowflake.
Saying, like, snowflake. Yes. I'm a special snowflake.
Yes.
But I feel like for the youth right now, it's very, very hard because let's say like back when internet wasn't even a thing and it was just television, radio, books, yada yada yada. Your work was separate from what you're doing, like watching TV.
Yeah, I can't get students to read a book anymore. But they're forever watching YouTube during my class.
But there's also like some people do read a lot on their phones, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But also it's very addictive. It depends on like what you're reading versus like actually Dr. Young has talked about this. She mentions that she described taking care of internet addiction and managing that like a diet. So just like right now, especially what I was trying to get at with like the youth.
Yeah.
And why it's very difficult for us to manage internet addiction right now is because we use it for work. Like I had to use the internet to do this project. Okay. I had to use the internet to type up the assignment and do everything.
Which is all awesome in my book.
Yes, it's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's a good tool. But how do you use it? Just like the radio, it was meant to like spread information. It was a good tool. But then you have the youth coming in, or they used it. It was then for like entertainment, with the music and everything.
Your phone's going off.
And like my phone went off, but the thing is, it's good because this is our school email. Like it's beautiful. It's a wonderful tool, but it depends on how you use it.
All right. So we've talked about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
We didn't even talk about my Facebook post that usually creates cyber arguments between my friends on the right and the left, but that's a separate story. We have avoided the topic of cost. How much does it cost to go to a rehab center because the cost to you socially from being addicted to the internet is so high? I mean, if you wanted to get weaned off the internet, what would it run?
Like many rehab centers, internet addiction treatment centers are expensive.
Yeah, I would imagine because it's probably a racket.
I mean, a 45-day treatment program called Restart, the 45-day treatment program costs $22,000.
Well, it's about like going to a diet resort. So, yeah, I mean, anytime you decided that you've got some sort of issue, somebody will take your money and cure you of it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So is it real? I mean, is internet addiction real?
Well, you know the TV show, like My Strange Addiction, like things like that? Like
no,
this one?
I don't watch TV.
Oh.
I'm not a grumpy old man.
You're not a grumpy old man. Well, if you did watch My Strange Addiction, you would know that, like, you can get addicted to anything.
Sure.
There's a lady that got addicted to, like, eating drywall, and there was someone addicted to eating plastic bags. There's strange things to get addicted to. And
that's a psychosis, then. Could be.
Like you can get addicted to anything. But because internet is used by a whole lot of people, because it's so easy to get distracted on it, it's a much greater issue, in my opinion.
Okay.
I think you can get addicted to the internet, and it can ruin a lot of people's lives. Dr. Young said a lot of people emailed her about losing their jobs and losing their marriages and neglecting their children because they're so invested in their online life.
Yeah, like World of Warcraft. Oh, well. There's a funny YouTube series I used to watch called The Guild that talked about that. Anyhow, all right, so... we could talk about this probably forever and then go online and figure out if we're right or wrong. But we're going to take another break, and then we're going to hear from our viewers and see what's on their mind on this topic. We'll be right back.
Bear Leader Tours. Where will Bear Leader Tours take you? Everywhere. Paris. Bruges. Trier. Battlefields. Pearl Harbor, Pacific Beaches, New Orleans. Join the adventure. www.mcwhinney.org.
And we're back. This is Historical Trends. I'm Don Frazier. This is Victoria Picon, and we're talking about internet addiction. Now it's time for viewer questions.
At Trent Cooksley asks, what age group does internet addiction affect the most? I think adolescents seem to be the most susceptible to this. My little sister, I have two, sorry, gotta think about it. Yeah. I have my little brother, little sister. 10
too
years.
Much internet addiction. You
Too
forgot
much
how many
internet.
siblings
Too much
you
information overload. No, sometimes I get brain. Thinking is hard.
Thinking is hard, yes.
I have a little brother who's 13 years old, little sister is 10 years old, a 3-year-old little sister, and a 1-year-old little sister.
Right.
My parents are already telling, my abuelita babysits the 3-year-old and 1-year-old while my family's all at school, because both my parents are teachers, also all at school. And so sometimes, I think in, Mexican culture, too, we tend to be like, oh, shush, don't talk, or, something like that.
Go entertain yourself.
Go entertain yourself, exactly.
You're getting in the middle of abuelita's stories. Yes, I understand.
or the cleaning. So whenever they get really fussy, my abuelita will give them the phone.
Yeah.
The problem with that though is with YouTube and all that. It's hard to regulate what kids watch on TV.
Yeah, they could be watching an ISIS beheading video.
I don't know about all that, but with the Daddy finger, where are you? That whole meme.
I have no idea what that is.
You don't know what that is? See, this is me, my
just
internet
seems
addiction.
weird.
I'm always referencing memes and vines. I mean, Joey knows.
Nice.
Christopher too. But whenever you start that young, it's very difficult to monitor that and take care of that.
And see where it's going.
Especially since it's so new.
Yeah.
You didn't have people doing that all the time. And with radio, it probably was okay, at least. Because after a while, you get bored. You're like, I want to go play outside. But you don't really have a bunch of people playing outside.
Like with my oldest, who's now 23, she wanted to watch Hocus all the time. So you plug in the Disney show, and she would watch it over and over and over and over again. So I guess that's probably a variation of this same sort of phenomena. But I can almost sing all the Pocahontas songs.
Pocahontas.
Yeah, it's just stuck in my head. That's because that's what she called it. Daddy, I want to watch Pocahontas.
Anyhow. That's me and my little sisters was Moana. They're like, Moana.
But that's not internet addiction.
No, but
Daddy finger apparently is. I'm not even sure what that's all about.
Oh, it's just.
No, I don't even want to know. Please,
okay,
I've got so little hard drive space left. I don't want this floating around inside my skull.
You want to download 3 more gigabytes?
No, yeah, I would like to dump some of this stuff. Yeah, like some of the words to the songs from Hocus. Oh well.
Yeah, but I do think adolescents are very susceptible. of course, with my little brother, sometimes he'll be like me too. I was the same way. Sometimes I still am, where I listen to music and stuff, but then I get distracted with, oh, what song should I listen to get me motivated to do my homework? Because right now, especially, like, multitasking is a huge thing. People say that, like, oh yeah, I can multitask. Like, I'll be talking with friends and they'll be on their phone.
They come into my class with earbuds in. I say, why do you have earbuds in your, I'm up here lecturing, why do you have earbuds in? And they say, well, I'm multitasking. I've got my shield beating music going on in my head while I'm listening to these great lectures on the American Civil War, which I think is bunkum. All right, next question.
At Michael McAcorn asks, how do you combat internet addiction? Dr. Young actually talked about this, and we mentioned this earlier in the video.
Okay.
She, just like right now, it feels like internet is a necessity. I've actually considered, what if I just got rid of my phone and just got like a flip phone, or tried to rely on different things.
Or dumped your Facebook account if you're an old person like me, because Facebook apparently is the realm of old people.
Apparently.
Yes.
Oh shoot, what was I saying?
Well, you were talking about Young study and talking about, she's the one that came up with the internet diet.
Oh, right. Because it's kind of a necessity now, like with school and stuff, it's all about like rationing it, like it depends, choking it down, and also what are you consuming on the internet. So like someone may be addicted to, I don't know, World of Warcraft or something like that. What if they
or World of Warships? Guilty.
If they decrease their time on that kind of media on the internet, and instead maybe even shifted it to something else,
like walking the dog or going to the gym.
Yeah, but even like on the internet, if they shifted that, like, let's say they play 5 hours a day, let's decrease that to 3 hours a day, to 2 hours a day, to 1 hour a day, just like you do so with like calorie counting and stuff like that.
Okay.
But also, if you change what you consume on the internet, so like, let's say like if you just eat donuts all the time, that's not good for you.
That's bad for you.
But if you shift, it's not the fact that you're eating that's the problem, it's what you're eating.
Okay.
So it's not the fact that you're on the internet that's the problem, it's what you're consuming on the internet. And that's where it kind of gets tricky, because you can't just cut cold turkey. It's not like heroin or anything like that. it's you can't just do that, because you need the internet, especially now in the US.
Are you jonesing when you're saying it?
No, you need the internet.
Man.
No,
gotta have me some internet.
I need the internet for your class or for other people's classes.
I insist.
And so it's a wonderful tool. It's just how you use it.
Okay. Yeah, because heroin was a pretty good painkiller when it came out. That's why they named it heroin. Female hero.
Oh.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that's where the name comes from.
I had no idea.
Yeah, you think it was like an acronym for helps on, I don't know, something else? No, it was named because it was like a heroine coming in to save the day. Because battlefield casualties, well, I mean, getting hurt on the battlefield, well, it hurts. Well, so if you could make the hurt go away, you might be a hero or a heroine.
Call me gobsmacked. Wow.
Gobsmacked.
Gobsmacked.
And so that's kind of a good analogy. Heroin, when used for its original purpose, great.
But then you get all crazy with it.
Yeah, get all crazy with it. Same with anything. All right, so what's the next question?
At Joey Rose 99 asks, how are grades affected by internet addiction?
Yeah.
Now, for me, my grades have actually been pretty good, because the whole panic causes you to get out of your whatchamacallit?
Bad habits?
Bad habits, procrastination.
There you go.
Because once that panic comes on, it's like, oh crap, I gotta work.
Yeah.
But for other people, especially in considering the students in China,
yes.
Whenever you're playing 24 hours a day, not using the bathroom, not eating anything, that not only affects your grades. Of course you're not going to school.
Yeah.
You're not going to school if you're in that internet cafe, and so you're not getting good grades. But you're also ruining your mind.
Yeah, I think there's probably some of that going on right here at this campus.
Exactly, but the thing is with I think, I'm not too sure, but in China, with the whole use of the internet cafes, they have some place to go. So it's much more obvious whenever you see a room full of kids just on it for hours
looking
and hours.
at a screen, yeah.
But in America, it's more of like a behind the doors kind of thing.
Sure.
It's such a private thing. And so I think a part of the reason why some people don't want to consider internet addiction as an actual clinical disorder is because it's such a private thing, and because of the messiness and then the blurred line between work versus entertainment.
Yeah, I mean, if you're an alcoholic, you can just quit drinking alcohol. It's a challenge. It's a struggle, but alcohol is not required to live.
Mm-hmm.
But anymore, the internet is.
Yeah.
That may explain a lot. All right, we've probably spent enough time on this topic. It's kind of making my head spin. Besides that, I need to go change my adult diapers. I'm just kidding. All right, so for historical trends.
And I need to check my email too.
Yeah, you need to check your email. I'm Don Frazier.
And I'm Victoria Picon.
Appreciate you watching.